Every place has its pros and cons. In 2025, Dubai and the UAE has emerged as by far the best place for wealthy people and entrepreneurs to move to, as proven by data of where people actually move. These people are attracted by things like 0% income tax, networking opportunities, and generally a very free and great environment to do business. But a lot of these reasons why people are moving to the UAE are related to finances and taxes. But increasingly, a question that a lot of people are asking themselves is, while Dubai is good for your wallet, is it good for your health? Because there is one glaring downside in Dubai that not that many people discuss, and that is Dubai's air quality, which in certain times of the year and on certain days can be amongst the worst in the world. So today the air quality is especially bad. We're here in Soba Heartland, and we actually are supposed to have a view of downtown as well as the Burj Khalifa in the distance. But as you can see, Burj Khalifa is nowhere to be seen. Well, it's actually right there. You can kind of see it. But this is very bad. Due to Dubai's desert climate, where sand is brought from the desert into the city's air, where the very hot and humid temperatures, especially in the summer, kind of trap the sand in the air, obviously combined with the pollution from the construction as well as the traffic, makes Dubai's air quality far from optimal. So here the question that we need to ask ourselves, and that I will answer in this video, is how much of an impact on your health does Dubai's air quality have, or does it actually have any effect at all? Because it's very easy to get emotional about the headlines that you might see on certain days when you see a headline like, oh, Dubai has some of the worst air quality in the world, when in reality that is only on certain days in the summer. So in this video, I wanted to do something that almost no one has done before and break down from first principle. First of all, how bad is the air quality really when you look at it as an average for the entire year in Dubai? Number two, what is the actual real impact of this based on actual real studies on your health? And is this actually a logical reason to reconsider moving to Dubai? So first, if you're going to think about the actual impact of air quality on your health, if you live in Dubai and if you're concerned about that, what we need to really answer is, first of all, how much actual air pollution would you actually in reality be exposed to? And then what would be the effect of this air pollution on your mortality rate? So scientists talk about this as like the probability that you will die in any given moment. So first of all, what is the actual average rate of PM 2.5 pollution in Dubai throughout the entire year? And the answer to that, based on data from last year, where this data is averaged across the entire year, is 33. That is the index of the PM 2.5 pollution that you will get on average in Dubai. Now we need to answer, okay, how much impact does PM 2.5 pollution score of 33 on average have on your health? So here from this study right here, long-term exposure to particulate matter and mortality, an update on the WHO global air quality guidelines, we get some very precise data on this. So this study found that a 10 nanograms per cubic meter increase in ambient PM 2.5 was associated with an increased risk of all-cause mortality of 9.5%. And importantly, what this study also found is that this effect is linear, meaning that if you're exposed on average to an PM 2.5 pollution of 10, your risk of mortality would go up by 9.5%. versus the baseline. So if you're on average exposed to PM 2.5 pollution of 33, your mortality would go up by 28.5%. Now that sounds like very, very bad. And it would be if this was actually the case. But here again, we need to look at the details, which is that if you live in Dubai, you're not going to be outside breathing this air the entire day. In fact, most people who live here are mostly inside. And here right now, I'm in an Airbnb and looking at my air quality monitor. What usually seems to be the case is that the air quality inside is roughly half or like 1/3 to even 1/4 of what it is outside.
So currently this is the air quality outside in Dubai. It is 68, and according to my air quality monitor, inside it is 17, and there is no air purifier here.
So really, if you spend all of your time outside, your actual exposure to pollution would be 1/4 to 1/2 of this number. However, if you buy an air purifier, you can actually take this number to 0 when you are inside. So if you spend all your time inside in Dubai, your real actual exposure to air pollution would be pretty much zero. Now, maybe it's not actually like fully zero, but it's very, very close to zero if you use a good air purifier. So really what we need to think about here is how much time would you actually be spending outside on average on any given day. Let's say you might spend 2 hours a day outside on any given day. Now that's probably in the upper range of what most people would do. Most people would probably spend on average less than an hour or even less than 30 minutes actually outside. And again here, this is assuming that every day is the average, which is not true. There are a lot of days when it's very bad and a lot of days when it's actually pretty good. So you could obviously just avoid going outside at all in those very bad days, which would really, again, take the actual exposure to pollution much, much lower than that. But let's say we assume you spend 2 hours a day outside. So you spend 22 hours in perfect air because you buy an air purifier, because that is absolutely something that you should do here in Dubai. And then you spend 2 hours outside. Here, according to ChatGPT, your estimated average PM2.5 exposure would be 2.75 nanograms per cubic meter, which is much, much lower than the WHO guideline of 5. So really, if you live your life like this in Dubai, despite having this air pollution outside, because you're not actually exposed to it, your real actual exposure is well in the safe ranges, which is pretty much going to have absolutely no effect on your mortality. And you might say like, oh, but there is some effect. Sure, but it's very, very unlikely that you're going to live in a place that has pristine, like zero air outside. Like that is pretty much impossible. And most likely, if you live in a place that has pretty good air quality, you're not even going to think about buying an air purifier, which means that you are actually breathing whatever it is outside all day. Like even in Finland, where I was visiting family a couple of weeks ago, I had my air quality monitor, and even there inside, it was still showing figures of like 7.5 or something like that. So it could actually be the case that living in Finland, which has very good air quality by international standards, your actual exposure to air pollution would be higher than if you lived in Dubai, because in Dubai, you either have an air purifier, or even if you don't, a lot of the air conditioning units are equipped with what are called HEPA filters, which automatically essentially filter out at least a lot of this air pollution. So you really need to look at this specifically. Now, of course, if you are someone who works a job outside where you're literally outside for 12 hours a day, then this is definitely a concern. If you are someone who is exercising vigorously outside and you have to do that even on those days when it does get very, very bad, then that is something to absolutely consider. Or if you have respiratory issues, like you have asthma or something where even low amounts of air pollution affect your breathing or something like that, then absolutely this is something to be aware of. So the conclusion here is, number one, buy an air purifier if you're in Dubai. Absolutely do that. And number two, apart from those couple of edge cases that I mentioned, really this isn't something that should play too much of a role in making your decision about whether to move to Dubai or not, because the reality is that when you're here, most of the time you're sitting inside in hopefully air purified air. Even when you're in the malls, they have HEPA filters in all of those air conditioning units, and also in a lot of other ways. I have found that Dubai allows me to live a much healthier life than in a lot of other places. If we consider the amount of sunshine you get and the effect that it has on your hormones, your mood, everything like that. When we consider how easy it is to exercise here, when every building has a gym, when we consider how high the food standards are here and the convenience and everything like that you can use to really optimize your health here. And with the additional money you have, with the tax savings and how you can use that to buy things to really improve your health, in my view, Dubai is actually one of the easiest places for you to live a healthy lifestyle, assuming that you have that air purifier. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. And now if you're looking to move to Dubai, make sure to watch this video right here, and I will see you in the next video.